Welcome to Thoughts on the Market. I'm Arunima Sinha from Morgan Stanley's Global and U.S. Economics teams.
And I'm Eduoard, Aubin, head of the Luxury Goods team.
This episode was recorded last week when we were at the annual Morgan Stanley Luxury Conference in Paris. In it, we bring you an overview of what we heard from companies and investors about the hottest trends in the luxury industry. It's Tuesday, May 27th at 8 a.m. in Paris. For several years now, the luxury industry has been riding a post-pandemic boom, and the top luxury brands experienced 80% or greater sales growth between 2019 and 24. So Ed, is this trend going to continue, or has it started to moderate, and why?
No, it has already started to moderate clearly last year. So the growth rates of some of the leading luxury good brands, over the past 4 or 5 years was clearly double-digit CAGR growth. What we've seen in 2024 is the luxury goods market worldwide has already started to contract. It was very moderate at 2 to 3%, but it's very unusual because over the past 30 years, the market has contracted only once or twice. So it started last year already, but we think it's going to accelerate. The decline could be even a bit more significant this year to low to mid-single digit. And there are a number of reasons as to why the luxury goods market has moderated. First of all, there's been the COVID, post-pandemic, there's been a wallet shift away from ownership of goods to more spend on experiences such as travel, restaurants, dining out, etc. The other thing is that you had a lot of, closets which were full post the pandemic. People were at home, disposable income was high, and there was certainly a lot of, purchase which was done during the pandemic. And then, and we'll talk about it in a second, there is also this view that maybe luxury good companies have increased prices maybe a touch excessively during the pandemic and potentially pricing out the middle income consumer.
This is an incredible conference, and we've been talking to a lot of corporates and we've been talking to a lot of investors. What are some of the key debates that you've been hearing about?
So, front and center, it's what's going on in terms of from a macro standpoint, in terms of the two key markets for the luxury goods sector, which are China and the US. To put things in perspective, and we look at it on a nationality standpoint here rather than a geographic standpoint, the reason is that there is a lot of cross-border shopping which is done when it comes to luxury. The Chinese nationals account for about a third of total demand, total spend on the luxury goods market, 30 to 33%. So they are the number one nationality today, clearly. The number two are the Americans, which account for about 22% of the spend. So combined, that's more than 50% of the spend, and certainly more than supposedly 50% of the growth over the next 3 to 5 years. So clearly a lot of focus on these two nationalities, what's going on in terms of the wealth effect in China and in the US, what's going on in terms of the health of the middle-income consumer in China and in the US. The other debate related to that is what's going on in terms of international travel. What we've heard from companies during the conference is that there are certainly less Americans now coming to Europe in this quarter, in the second quarter, and this had been a key driver of the spend over the past few months, partially related to the currency. There are also less Chinese going to Japan, which was also a key factor of growth for the industry. Chinese spend about 30% of their total spend outside of China, and Japan was the number one market in terms of spend for them in recent years, ahead of Europe. And what we've seen and what we heard from the companies attending the conference is that these two nationalities are spending less abroad, which is why we think the second quarter sales could be a bit under pressure more than in the first quarter. The other debate is about the middle income consumer, as we talked about. Luxury brands have raised prices quite a bit. For some of them, they've doubled the sales price of items during the pandemic. And again, there is a debate about the fact that they might have been pricing out the middle-income consumer. And obviously that has come at a time where the discretionary spend of the middle income consumer, the aspirational customer, has been under pressure. So it's kind of a double whammy in terms of the propensity of this cohort to spend on luxury goods. And for the sector to grow in the medium to long term, it cannot just rely on millionaires and billionaires. It has to recruit from the middle class. That has been one of the growth engine of this industry over the past 10, 20, 30 years. And so that's certainly one of the key debates is when will the products become affordable again? The challenge for the luxury goods company is that there is a cardinal rule in luxury, you can never lower your prices. So what you can do is you can play a bit with the mix, or you can wait for the discretionary spend to increase and make your product more affordable. But obviously that takes some time. So these are some of the key debates, that have been discussed at the conference. So Arunima, let's shift our focus from micro to macro concerns. So we've been talking a lot about the economic outlook, uncertainty around tariffs and currency markets on this podcast. Will these factors hurt luxury consumption?
So this is great timing, Ant, because we just published our economics outlooks, the global, the U.S., and for other regions. And our basic view is that tariffs, both the levels, the uncertainty around them, are going to weigh on growth around the world. They're going to weigh on U.S. consumers quite specifically, because here now you have a couple of different ways that tariffs will matter. One, for the general consumer, it's going to be higher prices. So you drive up prices, you're going to drive down real spending. And so we do have our real spending moderating across the forecast horizon. We go down almost a full 2 percentage points by the end of 25 relative to where we were in 2024. With respect to how we think about consumers spending on discretionary items, we think of labor income being an important factor. We think of wealth, supportive wealth effects, and that you already mentioned. And then we also think about just how consumers are feeling uncertain about their prospects for the economy and so on. So with respect to luxury consumption, we think that it is the last two factors, the supportive wealth effects and how uncertainty was playing out, that's going to matter. So between 2020 and 24, the United States saw some of the largest increases in net worth for U.S. households. So U.S. households saw $51 trillion in additional net worth being created over this period. That was more than what they saw over the prior decade. And from this 51 trillion pool, about 70% went to the top 20% of the income cohort. So that's $35 trillion. So these guys were feeling very positively supported by wealth. And the other factor in this is that it was really tied to financial wealth, because that's where we saw some of the largest increases as well. And so how do we think it's going to weigh on luxury consumers? To the extent that we may not see these very large increases in wealth going forward, given where equity markets, the ride that they've seen over this past year so far, if we don't have these very large increases in financial wealth, we may not have very large increases in planned consumption for this particular cohort. And so that's driving some of our forecast about the moderation in overall consumption, but it will also translate into just growth for luxury consumption. And the other aspect, of course, is uncertainty. So we do think that there's going to be some resolution of tariff uncertainty this year. But there are other factors in the U.S. that are weighing on policy uncertainty. So where is the fiscal bill going to go? How is immigration going to solve out? So all of these factors are weighing on the consumer, and they may also be weighing very well on luxury consumption. Great talking with you, Ed. We could all find little ways of incorporating luxury in our lives, and this conference has really just been an incredible experience. So thank you, and thank you for taking the time to talk with me today.
Great speaking with you, Arunima.
And thanks for listening. If you enjoy Thoughts on the Market, please leave us a review when you listen and share the podcast with a friend or colleague today.
The preceding content is informational only and based on information available when created. It is not an offer or solicitation, nor is it tax or legal advice. It does not consider your financial circumstances and objectives and may not be suitable for you.